So recently we talked about growth plates and what they do. Today we'll talk about one of the commonest injuries in children that is known as growth plate fractures. So welcome back to Little Growing Bones, and today we'll be diving into a topic that's relevant to parents and caregivers and anyone who takes care of children, and that is growth plate fractures. So stick around. So growth plate fractures are more common than what we all think. An understanding of them is crucial in ensuring the healthy and well-being of young ones as we watch them grow. So let's get into it. First of all, what exactly are growth plate fractures? So a growth plate fracture is a break in the child's bone that extends into the growth plate. As we discussed in the previous video, growth plates are those soft areas of cartilage at the end of long bones in children's bones. Because they're softer, they're more prone to fractures. A growth plate fracture occurs when there's a break or crack in the bone that extends or goes through the growth plate. Since the growth plate is responsible for the bone's growth, any injury to it can potentially affect the growth of the bone over time. So what are the causes of growth plate fractures? Just like any other fracture in children, growth plate injuries often follow a traumatic event like a fall or injuries during sports. So I won't go into the classifications of these injuries as I don't want to get too technical, but just know that some classifications are present and they're graded based on how severe the injury is. Also, the implications of these injuries vary based on which bone is involved. Like if an injury is in proximity to the hip joint, it's different from an injury that occurs around the wrist. Now, here's where things get interesting. Growth plate fractures do need special attention. And why is that? Because if not treated properly, they can lead to issues so big that it can cause deformities of the bone and the development of the child over time. This can result in things like angulation of the bone, or what we call angular deformities, or the bending of the bone. It can also lead to differences in the height of the bone, because if the growth plate is injured, it affects the overall growth of the bone. If these growth plate injuries are left untreated, those are the potential complications that we can see. So what should you do if you suspect the child has a growth plate injury? First and foremost, go to the hospital right away. A healthcare professional will be able to assess the child and assess the injury and determine the best course of action. This injury can look very subtle, but it can also look like any other injury, but an X-ray helps us to confirm if it's a growth plate injury or if it's something different. So what should parents look out for? Well, if your child experiences a sudden injury, any kind of traumatic event, like a fall or some had impact during sports, it's crucial to pay attention to any signs of a potential growth plate injury. And this leads me to the symptoms of growth plate injuries. So this can be like any other fracture. So things like pain, there could be swelling, tenderness in that area. They could have difficulty moving that limb or even putting weight on that limb. If you notice any of this, please seek medical attention promptly. Always suspect growth plate fractures if a child has an injury close to the joint. The treatment of these injuries is based on the child's age and how severe it is. Some of these injuries are managed in casts, while others may require surgery. Okay, so it's important to see a pediatric orthopedic surgeon so they can assess this and guide on the treatment necessary. So to sum it up, growth plate fractures are breaks or cracks near the soft areas of the cartilage at the end of the children's bones. These injuries normally require special attention to ensure proper healing and prevent potential complications down the road. So remember, if you ever suspect a growth plate fracture, don't wait, just go to the hospital promptly. And as always, don't forget to subscribe or give us a thumbs up. And until next time, keep it on Little Growing Bones.